Alrighty, my name's Kia, and here are my sales pitch materials for the D&D Travel Co. final role play. So starting off, I just have our main intro slide, and this will just be up as I'm going into the role play. That'll be my first slide available on the table. Once we do our introductions and building rapport, then I'll transition into going over the agenda. And then this right here is just my agenda slide, and I'll just present, would you be comfortable with me asking you a few questions about your staffing needs? And then maybe we could go over a little bit of background on Insight Global and hopefully some solutions that we'd be able to provide for you. How does that sound? And then hopefully they'd say yes, and we'd move into needs identification. From there, we would just do all the questions for needs identification. And then when we moved on to company background, this is my slide on Insight Global. Right here, I just have a little bit of background on the company. I kind of want it to be more focused on what I'm saying, less focused on the slide itself. So I just have three main points and some bullet points. So we have a little bit of background that it's the second largest staffing firm in the nation. We have some notes on the revenue there, as well as their reach with how many offices and recruiters they have. From there, I also have all of their Fortune 1000 clients, just so I can connect that a little bit and give the company a little bit of credit there. And then that five-step screening process, which we'll also talk about more in the next slide and go into more depth on. From there, when I'm talking to the client, I'll go over our five-step screening process and how that helps them. So this is just a visual to really give them the background on what each of those five steps are, from the phone screening to the interview with the Insight Global team, the reference checks, the final screening with the account manager, and then the background check and final onboarding. My next slide after that would just be talking about how they service all industries. Hopefully, during the role play, we would get into talking about a little bit more context about what roles they're hiring and why they're hiring those roles. And then I would pitch Insight Global as having this ability to service all industries and having a lot more resources than many other staffing firms. So, especially for them when they're expanding to 35 different roles across different industries, I would use this to show how Insight Global has a really expansive reach and can hopefully be the right fit for them. From there, we're talking about some benefits that Insight Global could provide to them, as well as maybe overcoming any objections or any concerns that they had brought up earlier in the meeting. I have this final like why us benefits slide. And from here, I can kind of customize based on how the meeting has gone and what information I've gotten throughout the meeting. So if some of their concerns had anything to do with like budgeting or something like that, we have this kind of pink column that talks a little bit about our budget. And then I would also add any more additional information about the company, about Insight Global, what we have to offer that was kind of tailored specifically to them. Here, I just have those main bullet points that can help be background for me when I'm pitching it to them. And then also things like employee retention, if that was an issue for them, or if they had timeline concerns about getting candidates fast enough. That's kind of in that blue column over here. Our yellow column is a little bit more expanded, it's a little bit more broad. But again, just depending on what the client has told me that they're looking for and what their issues have been in the past, I'll be able to pitch our proprietary database with qualified candidates. And that's something that I think would be special, especially if they've had bad experiences in the past with maybe communication or trusting other staffing firms. I would talk about that 24/7 access to account managers and how that open communication line is really important and unique. And then also if maybe they're talking about how their current employees are spending time hiring new employees rather than on their basic tasks, we can talk about how Insight Global is able to handle that onboarding process and give their current employees more time and resources to do the other things that are involved in their job. Alrighty, and those are my slides. Pretty simple, but I think that they'll be good background so that I can really speak to the client and focus on that, and that these will just be a good way to help support what I'm saying.